Hey, how's everybody doing today? This is Mark Brody back here with Coffee Talk with Brohawk. And today I have the extreme pleasure to have as a guest on Coffee Talk Dave Seaton of Seaton CX. Dave, how you doing?
Mark, I'm Friday. It's like, as soon as we wrap up with this, I'm wrapping up my week. So I'm doing great.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Dave, thank you again for joining us on this episode. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and what have you been up to recently?
Sure. So I am a customer experience consultant. And about 2 years ago, I left a 21-year career in B2B tech to go start this little consulting company. And I work with B2B tech leaders who may be frustrated by the chaos in implementation or professional services. They
Uh-huh.
could be exhausted from escalations and firefighting and customer support, or
All right.
concerned that their customer success managers aren't proactive enough to retain clients. So,
Interesting.
yeah, we bring together customer insight and research, really understanding the customer's perception of value, along with structured problem solving like Lean and Six Sigma, to go
Okay.
make operational improvements that stop the chaos and retain more customers.
Nice. As you're going through that, I was having a Susan Powder moment of stop the insanity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, let me ask you this, Mark.
Okay.
How many organizations do you know that have an unlimited supply of money?
Um, on a percentage basis, I want to say zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay, right? Because they have all the people that they need.
Yeah. No.
No,
No, no, no,
no.
no.
But at least the customers are patient and give them all the time that they need, right?
Man, what world are we living in here?
No. So, I mean, because it's business, because we're trying to maximize revenue and reduce cost, every organization is trying to balance limited money, people, and time.
Yes.
And so every organization, whether they realize it or not, is making trade offs in service design, how they're going to serve customers. What I help those organizations do is make those trade offs strategically. Let's be
Mm.
best in class at what matters most, and we can afford to not be good at what customers don't care about instead of trying to do everything and just being mediocre at it all.
I love that, Dave. Um, you know, it, I'm sure we both have conversations about, with folks that they're like, well, we want to do chat and we want to do SMS and we want to do this channel and that channel. It's like, well, we're your customers. Well, they
Mhm.
just call us. Well, why are you doing all that other stuff? You know?
You
Uh,
know, that reminds me of a story a couple of years ago. I was working with this B2B tech company
mhm,
and IT, love them, love IT.
mhm,
They, got upsold by a vendor, and the upsell package included live agent chat.
mhm.
So IT's like, cool, when can we turn this on for you guys? Right? And support saying, well, it's a little more involved than that because we actually got to figure out how to use it. We got to train people. We got to figure out what staffing looks
Yes.
like, how many people we need, how many simultaneous chats they can handle. Like, there's a lot of operational stuff to
Yeah.
figure out, but we love the idea
Mhm.
because the VP of support loved live agent chat. It was
Yeah.
that person's preferred channel when they were on with their bank or their credit card company or their cable company.
Yes.
Loved chat. Well, I went out and talked to the customers.
Hmm.
And the customers, it was funny because they all said basically the same thing. And it sounded like this: well, Mark, I don't know about your other customers, but we're power users. And we don't think our issues can be resolved over a chat. we know you're going to have to go away and work on them, and
Mhm.
we're too busy to sit on a chat waiting on that.
Yeah.
So we prefer to just use your existing phone and web channels.
Oh, I love it.
So, how much money did we save by not doing chat?
Yep.
All of that time and money to implement this thing that nobody was going to use.
Yes. Man.
One guy, one guy that I talked to said, "Well, I could see some utility in live agent chat because all I do is reset people's passwords." He's like, "But I like talking to your people." And he named off by name 6 people in our phone team. He's like,
Uh,
"I like talking to Karen and Sergio," and he went down the list. He knew them all. And so he didn't want to do a chat.
I love it. I love it. It's a solution in search of a problem.
That's right. That's right. And so that's what I, in a nutshell, that's what I do is how do we make these strategic trade-offs in service design because we can't be excellent at everything.
Yep. And when, remember the movie Moneyball?
I didn't see that one,
You
Mark.
didn't. Well, I'll have to shoot you over a link for it.
Yeah.
Um, in one of the scenes in Moneyball, um, Brad Pitt's character, is telling all of his scouts, if we try and play like the Yankees in here in the scout room, we're going to lose to the Yankees on the field because we don't have their money, we don't have their this, we don't have that, and it's when you talk about managing resources appropriately and what's really going to matter, where you're going to get the big bang for your buck. It's like if you try and do what everybody else is doing, you're going to
Mhm.
fail.
Yeah.
You know.
And if you try and do what you want,
Yes,
you that may not resonate with your customers.
exactly.
That was, one of the other elements from this situation is we had all the internal buy-in,
Uh-huh.
right? Support wanted to do chat, IT wanted to do chat. Like in this instance, buy-in wasn't a problem,
Hmm.
but nobody was talking to the customers.
Yeah.
You got to get that customer insight to fuel your operational improvements if you want to win in both places.
Yes. Ah, man. You know, it's a great segue, because everybody talks about CX, you know, and it's been such a buzzword for years, I'll say several years, but it's probably been a buzzword for a lot longer. And I noticed that you do some writing on emotional intelligence as a facet of CX. And that's can you share with our viewers a little bit about your perspective on how emotional intelligence from a leadership perspective kind of segues into a good CX strategy?
Yeah, so there's two. I think emotional intelligence is important for all leaders
Yes.
because it makes you a more high performing leader, more
Mhm.
able to get things done in the organization. But for customer experience leaders, it's doubly important
Mhm.
because the your customer experience has 3 elements, right?
Yep.
There's your success. The customer's got to achieve the outcomes that they wanted,
Yep.
right? Then there's the effort. How easy or hard was it to achieve those outcomes?
Uh-huh.
So I could still be successful, but it could be really, really hard. And that might
Yes.
give me a poor customer experience. And the top level is emotion. How did I feel about that interaction? And
Mhm.
they're all connected, but the research from XM Institute shows that emotion has the biggest impact on customer loyalty behaviors. Not just a, you know, nice notion of loyalty or happiness or something, but actual loyalty behaviors like buying more, telling their friends, forgiving a company, and trusting a company. So for customer experience leaders, understanding emotion to
Mhm.
be able to design and manage these experiences becomes doubly important. So if you work on improving your emotional intelligence, you're not only going to be a better leader
Okay.
and have better success at work, but you're also going to be able to design these customer experiences that trigger more positive emotions and result in more loyalty behaviors from your customers.
And as a result, less friction,
That's right.
less complaints, more of the happy path that you were trying to design anyway.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Um, you know, kind of a sidebar to this. I know that a lot of folks will focus on CSAT or NPS, um, but the CES. Um,
Mhm.
are you real familiar with that or um,
I am. Yeah. Customer effort score.
yeah,
Started in Matt Dixon's article, Stop Trying to Delight Your Customers. And then it turned into
yeah,
the book,
you know,
The Effortless Experience. Yep.
yes, yes. So, are you seeing companies focusing a little bit on like a CES value more than an NPS or a CSAT, or are CSAT and NPS, pretty much the bellwether that's driving that um, the voice of the customer back into the organization?
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, yeah, and we could
Customer,
probably do an episode just on that.
yep. Yep. So I'll give my high level opinion, which is likely to ruffle some feathers. Customer effort score is a contact center metric.
Yeah.
All of the research from Effortless Experience and now Gartner bought CEB, and now Gartner's kind of repackaging that as a value. What did they call it? Value enhancement score instead of customer effort score. It's all based on the contact center.
Hmm.
So if I were measuring touch points in a contact center, I think CES is a pretty good metric. NPS is a relationship metric. It's not a touch point metric. So where you now, I mean, you see people trying to do a transactional NPS.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes that doesn't even make sense, right?
Yes.
How likely are you to recommend our company by how well we resolved your issue today? Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm not, right? Because I bought an iPhone. And I'm recommending it if I am because it's a cool piece of technology, not
Yes.
because what happened on a chat with Apple support. So
And all
it
they did
doesn't.
was reset my password for crying out loud.
So in that kind of transactional thing, does it even make sense?
Yeah.
Um, what now? I'm primarily working in B2B.
Yep.
And in B2B, I believe that qualitative measures, qualitative customer interviews, conversations with your customers are a lot more insightful than the 1 to 3 sentences they're going to write on your annual NPS survey.
Yes. I love it.
So, a lot of what I do is understanding, for a B2B tech company,
Mhm.
who's your target customer, right? Who's the 20% of your customers that are generating 80% of your revenue?
Yep.
How do we identify who are the extreme users in that collection of customers? and let's go have conversations with them. Let's understand the customer journey. Let's map it out. Let's identify what are the moments of truth
Mhm.
in that experience that have the disproportionate impact on their loyalty behaviors. And you can take like if you're talking about a journey map, I use the analogy, you can map the end-to-end journey. That's
Uh,
like a map of the United States. Or you might zoom in and you might map the journey through implementation. And that
mhm.
might be a Texas sized view, right? One state in the nation. You
Yes.
can zoom in even more and maybe map the experience that they had resolving an issue through the customer support organization. And now you're looking at like an Austin, Texas sized map. They all have different uses, they have different levels of fidelity. Um, but bringing in that customer insight so that you can make those strategic decisions in your service design.
You know, I've always been a fan of there's no substitute for having a conversation with somebody,
Yeah.
you know, because they're gonna a respondent to a survey is going to answer the question, period. They're not gonna give any more, they're not gonna get, they may give less, but they're not gonna give any more. And so when you can sit down with a customer, um, whether it's B2B or even B2C, with focus
Mhm.
groups and whatnot, um, in user groups with B2B, type of organizations. Um, when you sit down and really unpack what, the first, the second, the third, the fourth layers are,
Yeah.
it is so impactful as a B2B organization or a B2C organization.
Yeah.
Um, one of the things that I've seen you or you and I have spoken about recently in some of our past conversations is about how to get executive leadership to buy in to CX initiatives,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, oh yeah, this sounds like something great, but yeah, we don't have the time, money, or knowledge to do it. But where are you seeing initiatives fail with some organizations, but conversely, they're succeeding with others?
So, many of the things we read out there indicate that getting buy-in is the number one problem that CX leaders face.
Hmm.
And a lot of CX leaders, I did a P I wrote something a while back called CX is the loneliest profession. And that was actually something that a CX leader told me on a one of those virtual roundtable like networking things.
Yeah.
This person is very frustrated because you need cross-functional stakeholders and cross-functional partners.
Hmm.
And so, to answer your question, who succeeds and who fails, the people that succeed
Hmm.
make connections with the stakeholders, understand their goals, their values, their motivations, and connect the initiative to a compelling emotional reason to change. You
Excellent.
don't succeed with rationale and logic and quoting the watermark study or the latest thing from HBR. You can generate some conversations, but people only change and take action when they've got that compelling emotional reason to change. And so you've got to understand your stakeholders
Hmm.
and what's really going on, right? Because if you ask, well, what's your motivation, you'll get the extrinsic motivation. Oh, we need to reduce costs, and we need to improve our net dollar retention and the corporate executives
Hmm.
initiatives, right? But what's the intrinsic motivation that turns them into either a supporter of your initiative or an opposer of your initiative? Um, I knew one person who is a very vocal detractor of the CX work that we were trying to do,
Okay.
actively opposing it.
So,
And I came as I empathized with this person, with this leader,
mhm.
and I understood what she was feeling and why. I came to realize that she was exhausted because she had limited resources, and there had been a lot of blame and finger pointing from the organization, blaming her team for poor performance
Oh,
throughout
man.
in the customer experience. And so all of this attention from this
Yes.
new initiative was just further putting her under the microscope and increasing her exhaustion.
Yes.
And so she pushed back,
Yep.
as any one of us would do in that situation.
Yep.
Um, so that's, where I would say, if you're looking for buy-in to invest in that new technology, to get more head count, to try this risky new thing, right? Maybe you
Mhm.
want to bring journey mapping to your organization. You've never done it before. It's gonna be a project. You're gonna need some cross-functional commitment. Build relationships with those other stakeholders.
Yep.
Build that trust. Understand their values, their motivations, their goals extrinsically, those intrinsic motivations. Values is another big one, right?
Yep.
If I am a risk taker and you value stability, and I introduce a new project,
Uh,
you're going to be resistant. If you think about it in DISC personality profiles, right?
mhm.
If you're an S, if you value
Yep.
stability, change is the thing that really, gets your guard up.
Yep.
And I'm a risk taker, then we're going to have natural conflict. And it doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. We just have
Mhm.
different values.
Yes. I love it. I mean, it's almost like when you're looking at how to get why customers adopt something, a product or a service or something. You have to go out and ask them. You have to make sure it's something that they're gonna, like you said, they're gonna value. Internally, that's where you have to have those same conversations, those same relationships, and everything. It's a great way of looking at it. And it's something that I hadn't thought of in the way that you just presented it. So, um, great talking point right there. Um, when you see some of these companies that will just go ahead and if they're back in the office, they'll just have a mural on the wall. And this is our CX initiative and stuff like that. Are you saying that that doesn't work?
Um, Organizational change is personal change. If you look at, there's several change management models out there.
Yeah.
I don't know that one's better than the other. I feel like ADKAR is the easiest.
Hmm.
So if you look at the ADKAR method, organizational change is individual change.
Hmm.
Everybody needs to understand, they need to acknowledge the reason for change.
Yes.
That's step one.
Hmm.
Step two, they have to have the desire to change. And that's the big one. That's the hardest in that
Hmm.
model, because if they don't have the desire to change, then they won't.
Yes.
After that, after the desire, then they need the knowledge of how to change. That's your K. Then they need the ability to change. That's resources, training, whatnot. That's your A. And then lastly, they need the reinforcement of the change.
Mhm.
But so many times organizations start out with knowledge and ability. Here's how you're
Yep.
going to use the new system. And you know, here's all the tools and whatnot that you need. Go change everything about the way that you do customer service or implementations or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you don't start with, well, what's that need for change? And people
Mhm.
don't have the desire to actually do it, change initiative is going to fail. So yeah,
Hey.
you know, you can hang the map on the wall, and on day two, it'll fade into the background as they go back
Yes.
and forth to get coffee. And you know, then like so many charters that get hung on the wall, they get dusty. Nobody takes them down when the project's over. They, you know, get
Mhm.
ripped and
And the front lines, see right through it. They see it like you explained. I mean, it's a flavor of the day,
right.
or the month, or oh, we had a reorg, so there's a new flavor for the new, you know
Yep.
new leaders of our organization. So, uh, so one of the other things that I actually had a conversation about this earlier is technology and
Mhm.
how it's impacting contact centers at the speed of thought.
Yeah.
Hey, if we can think it, we can do it. We just need to bring in a new technology because somebody out there is doing this. With Chat GPT and other similar tools that are seem to be at top of everybody's mind. Where do you
Mhm.
see technologies taking the contact center industry, in the future?
I I think AI is going to transform everything that we do.
Yep.
Um, it's just in its infant stages right now. Like, I mean, if
Hmm.
you want to use smartphones as an analogy, this is like a Palm Pilot. Like we're seeing
Yeah.
a Palm Pilot from 2000, 2001.
Just aged ourselves there.
Man, I had that Palm 3 XE, I think. I love that thing. Um, so yeah, everything Chat GPT is doing, I mean, that's your Palm Pilot.
Yep.
In a few years, we're gonna have the iPhone equivalent.
Hmm.
And I mean, I'm a one person company. I'm
Yep.
already using generative AI in many aspects of my business.
Hmm.
Right now, it's all about the prompts that you write and
Yes.
becoming really really good at writing prompts so that the AI understands what you want it to do.
Yep.
But you know, in the future, it's going to be, you know, translating code into help articles
Yeah.
and right, we're going to use it to train, we're going to use it to handle some of the interactions. It's going to be, I mean, right now it's as good as an intern.
Yes.
You know, if I want to, you know, if I had an intern and I'm like, hey, you know, go brainstorm 10 ideas for blog articles I could write about strategic trade-offs in service design, you know,
Yep.
boom, there it is. Now, are are they going to be good?
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to be like up to my standards, right?
Uh-huh.
But now I'm starting with a full page instead of a blank page,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
just going to get better. So, um, you know, yeah, I think that's the future, whether we like it or not.
Yep.
And the organizations, the individuals that can understand how to harness it.
Hmm.
Right now, it's just augmenting them as a human.
Yes.
How can I harness AI to augment, you know, what I'm already doing?
Hmm.
Um, that's going to be the future.
And I love it. And in the contact center world, I mean, the fear is always, well, I remember back in the early 90s, the IVR was going to take over the world.
Yeah.
And there weren't going to be any contact center agents. And there's some of those fears that are out here now with AI technology that it's going to it's going to diminish the need for um, for agents. But I think one of the things that you brought up earlier, um, plays into this is people are still going to want to talk to people. You know, they don't always want a machine that's going to answer their questions or point them in a direction. The complex things are always going to need that human interaction. You know,
Yeah, as humans, we have emotional needs,
yes,
and one of those emotional needs is empathy. Our
mhm,
need to have other human beings understand what we're feeling and why.
yes,
And I don't know that we'll ever get that need for empathy met by a computer.
no, I
Now,
would agree.
if I'm like I had to call a healthcare provider and give them my medical record number this morning.
Mhm,
I would much rather tell that information or type it to a computer that's not going to get mistakes. They're not going to say, did you say, you know,
yes,
did you say two,
five five
four?
three.
No, I said 4-2. You know, computer doesn't make those mistakes.
Yes,
Um, so, you know, but um, there's roles that humans fulfill that are a higher order than anything that AI can do right now.
yeah, I completely agree. I love that perspective. Um, one thing I noticed, you're very active on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Um, and I know you and I have a lot of the same connections. I'm surprised it's taken us as long as it has to actually connect and whatnot. But if I'm a new operational person or new someone new to networking as a whole, how should I approach networking with operational and other thought leaders? Is LinkedIn the place that you'd start, or what are some of your recommendations for folks?
I'm a LinkedIn guy. I play on Twitter
Hmm.
sometimes, but LinkedIn is my main platform.
Yep.
As an independent business person, just I just don't have the capacity right now to juggle
Yeah.
multiple platforms. So, for your hypothetical person, I'd say go to LinkedIn,
Hmm.
and here is what you do. Exactly step by step what you do. If you want to engage with Dave Seaton, right? And
Hmm.
Dave Seaton makes a post. Guess what I want? I want engagement.
Yes.
So go post a comment.
Yep.
Like it. I mean, liking and engaging, okay, I'll like see your name, right? But
Hmm.
if you actually want to make a connection, post a comment. And
Yeah.
you don't have to people overthink it, like, oh well, I got to add value, I got to provide something new. He just shared his opinion, now I got to share my opinion. And
Uh-huh.
no, ask a question. Right?
Yes.
If I post about emotional intelligence, Dave, how'd you get into emotional intelligence?
Hmm.
Guess what? I'm going to answer you.
Yes. I
Because
love it.
I want to engage. That's why I'm posting.
Uh-huh.
So don't be shy. Start out, like a few posts, post a comment, ask a question. Hey, can you tell me more about that? Where did you learn about that?
Hmm.
What do you think about Chat GPT? Right?
Yes.
Post something topical. And then after we have a few interactions, say, hey, I've enjoyed our conversation, would love to connect with you. I'll connect with you. The only people I don't connect with are like, hey Dave, could your business benefit from 15 to 20 hot leads a week warmed up and ready to talk? No, block.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. From one solo guy to another solo guy. I love it. I love it. I think I got like 15 of those in my inbox this morning alone, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Eh,
engagement is the name of the game. You want to build a network. You want to have conversations, meet people. Just engage. Just post a
yeah,
comment, ask a question.
make yourself available. You
Yeah,
know, it's when you respond. What I find sometimes is when people respond, and I respond back, it's like, okay, the conversation stops there. It's like, well, you obviously posted, you obviously responded to something for a reason. Let's talk some more.
yeah,
Let's have some coffee talk or something.
yep.
Uh, that's good. Well, we've gotten to the point of our conversation uh, that I call it the speed round.
All
You ready
right,
for this?
let's do this.
All right. So, what fact about Dave would people be most surprised to learn about you?
Hmm. I for a long part of my adult life, I was a semi-professional musician.
Really?
I used to play guitar here around Dallas, Texas. At
Okay.
my peak, I used to make $175 an hour playing guitar.
Nice.
The
Nice.
problem was I couldn't do it 40 hours a week. Nobody wants a guitar player at 8 a.m. Monday morning.
Hey, I love it. I love it. So who are some of the any well-known bands that you played with, or
No,
no?
no.
Just around the Dallas area. That's
Yep,
awesome.
yep.
That's awesome. Um, so where is your ideal off the grid location?
Big Bend National Park.
Oh man, out towards like Marfa and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. South of that, down on the Rio Grande River. I've actually done 3 trips there. I did one a couple weeks back,
Uh-huh.
and the weather and conditions were right, so I got to drive the River Road, which is 51 miles of high clearance 4-wheel drive road along the Rio Grande River. That was awesome. It's the I think it's the fourth darkest sky in the United States. So the stargazing is amazing. Yeah, if you want to go off the grid, Big Bend, and then there's a little town outside called Terlingua, and I
Oh yeah, I've heard of
rented.
it.
Yeah, I rented a. It was a little too cold to camp, so I
Oh.
rented a old Airstream trailer out in the middle of the desert, and it had some solar panels, like enough to run a string of Christmas lights and charge your
Uh-huh.
phone. Not that there's any cell service out there,
Yeah,
but other than that, it was completely off the grid, remote, incredible.
that is awesome. You just kind of disconnect from everything. Uh,
Yep.
I love it. So if someone wants to discuss like any of the things that we talked about today, drivers of CX or EI, or they're just stuck in a challenge within their organization and they just want a different perspective, another set of eyes looking at it.
Mhm.
They want to bounce it off of you. How can someone get in contact with you?
Two easy ways. One is send me a message on LinkedIn.
Okay.
The second would be my website,
Okay.
Seaton. That's my last name, Seaton. So it's SeatonCX.com. And just click
Excellent.
on contact and send me a message.
And if anybody's watching wants an introduction with Dave, I'd be more than happy to go ahead and do that, with you as well. Dave, thank you very much for the generosity of your time today. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to having a lot more conversations with you. This is fun today. Um,
Absolutely, Mark.
and for viewers, go ahead and like, comment, um, you know, uh, you know, give us some feedback on how you like this episode, and we'll definitely respond for sure. So, Dave, thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of the day and a great weekend, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show, Mark.
All right, thanks. Bye bye.